All right, Jesse on fire. I do mixed martial arts, and I could do this video one of two ways. I could do it super cocky and obnoxious, or I could do it in the way where I'm asking you for something. So I chose both. I love this sport. I love it. And literally all I'm asking is for your subscription. So let me give you a reason to subscribe right now. So what's a topic everybody wants to know about? Gaethje and Khabib. How about Conor, where he fits into this thing? Now, that is a topic that everybody's talked about to death. So let me do it, and let's see if I'm going to bring a fresh perspective that maybe is worth your subscription so that you can hear other things that I come up with. Because straight up, let me tell you what's different about my channel versus other channels. I like to talk about what's going on up here with these guys, okay? Everybody can talk about the X's and O's, and they can probably do it better than me. The intangibles. I am the king of emotional intangibles. And I'll show you what that looks like right now, talking about Khabib, Gaethje, Conor, etc. Let me put my serious face on because I was just doing cocky Jesse on fire, and now I'm going to actually talk about a serious matter, which is Khabib lost his father, and he's going into this fight for the first time without his father, mentor, basically his life partner, right? So how's that going to affect his performance? Now, one thing that I'm going to say about that is this. In a lot of cases, when a person loses a parent going into a fight, that's going to lead to them performing better. And the reason is because most fighters have this untapped well of potential, right? Look at Buster Douglas when he fought Mike Tyson, okay? He was never dedicated to his training, not really. He wasn't a guy that would just do it and go to exhaustion every day and then go through it and see what he really could build himself into, right? Look at how he came out in the Holyfield fight after he beat Tyson. He was up 20 pounds. Okay, the Tyson fight was his absolute greatest performance because it was his greatest preparation, and that was because he had lost a parent and he had that extra drive to do it for her, okay? Let me tell you why that's not the case with Khabib. Khabib is not a person with a well of untapped potential, okay? That's where that comes from. That comes from a person who feels like they're fighting for something greater in this particular contest, and so they tap into that last bit of potential that they never tapped into before, because they have a grand reason to win this fight, to do it for their parent, right? Khabib has always had that. He's lived in that place. He does not have untapped potential. That's why he's a champion. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to lose, but it doesn't help him, is what I'm saying. He's one of the only guys where that particular thing is not going to help him. Now, there are other people where it would hurt them, just the emotional impact of it. But I think there are a lot of people where the emotional impact will help them, keep them more focused, give them a reason to train harder, etc. Khabib ain't that. Khabib is a walking full potential realizer, okay? That's a weird way to say it, but you understand what I'm saying. So if he wins, it's going to be because he's a champion and he's a better fighter than Justin Gaethje. Now, Justin Gaethje is an awful matchup for Khabib. Just stylistically, the worst matchup there possibly could be, right? Incredible takedown defense, a great collegiate wrestler, Division I, All-American. And so if there's ever been a matchup that on paper matches up very poorly for Khabib, it's going to be an incredible wrestler whose stand-up is excellent with amazing knockout power, and that is Justin Gaethje with a granite chin. Okay? Now, I'm not saying he's going to win for sure, but I am saying that this will for sure be the toughest test that Khabib has ever had, and if Khabib wins, he's never going to lose. And I give GSP very little chance in that fight. Let's say he does end up fighting GSP. GSP has fought once in like 6 or 7 years. Okay, people need to stop acting like that's no big deal, right? Just because he came back and he got a W against Michael Bisping, you want to know why he came back and fought Michael Bisping? Because he had sparred with Michael Bisping a million times. So for those of you who don't train and don't have experience training, sparring, rolling with guys, yeah, you're not going 100% most of the time, but if you fight a guy all the time and you are a better fighter than that guy, you know. And GSP had so much experience training with Bisping, or at least enough training with Bisping, that he's like, oh, he's the champion? Hey, Dana, how about I come back and I fight for the 185-pound belt? You know, and he wins and he looks, he's like, I don't think I want anything to do with Yoel Romero. That doesn't look like a fight that I like, right? So that's the playing field there, because if Khabib wins and GSP doesn't take that fight, or Gaethje wins, Conor's fighting, okay? I don't care what Khabib says about he's got to beat Dustin Poirier. Dana's not putting Conor in the octagon unless it's for a belt. Okay, so Conor has a couple options. One is the winner of Gaethje and Khabib, assuming the GSP doesn't have that fight. And two is the 170-pound belt if Masvidal wins that belt. If Masvidal wins that belt, or maybe Colby, then Conor will fight for the 170-pound belt, and it'll be a gigantic bonanza. Look, from a business perspective, the UFC has to treat Conor as a business decision, so the rules don't apply to him normally, okay? Of course he hasn't been active enough to fight for the title, obviously. But that's the same thing with Sean O'Malley, which is why when you look at the O'Malley and Vera fight that just happened, the UFC is going to want to minimize that loss as much as they can. They want people to think that that was an injury that was not necessarily caused by Chito. It's a fluke. And maybe he was out, maybe he wasn't. That's why they're not going to show you other angles of him getting knocked out. Now, I am a big O'Malley fan, but O'Malley falls into that same category that Conor does, which is this weird little elite group where it's business. It's not just the pure sport of it. You know, who's earned their title shot. That ain't them. These are different. These guys are different, right? And so, listen, I'm going to just cut it off there, right? This is a paid advertisement. So hopefully, if you've watched this far, I've demonstrated that I'm different. I'm special. I appreciate you guys taking the time. I hope to have a much longer relationship with you guys. Subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, and I will see you guys very soon. Thank you guys.